All right, good evening. It is 7 o'clock, and we are going to begin our meeting. We just came out of closed session, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to ask everyone to remain standing at the end of the pledge, please. Mr. McCullough, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had a passing of a former teacher of ours, Mrs. Mary Green. She has, or was part of our district since 1963. Retired a few years ago, but everybody that knew her loved her. She was an absolute wonderful lady. I knew her well, and I know a lot of her students have posted very great things about her since her passing, so we want to remember her tonight. And also, we had a tragedy with some students at the beginning of the week or the end of last week, and the family requests that we have keep their privacy, so we're going to do that, but we want to make sure that we keep all of the students at the Chaco High School, all the Panthers there, and the students involved in our thoughts. So for Mary Green and the students at the Chaco High School, we're going to have a few moments of silence. Thank you very much. Next up is approval of the agenda. I do have one change, and that is on item 10, which is new business. 10, item 0, and on that item, there are a number of board policies and administrative regulations that are listed here, and there was a typo from the second from the bottom. Immunizations, there's two board policy listings for immunizations. The second board policy, which is exactly the same number, 514131, is supposed to be an AR, administrative regulation. So that was a typo. So second from the bottom should be AR 5141.31. So that's the only correction I have. Dr. Marshall, anything else for the agenda?
No further changes.
No further changes. All right, seeing that, I need a motion to approve the agenda as corrected. Got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Lieb, to approve the agenda as corrected. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's carried unanimously. It's time to celebrate our students. So, Mr. McCullough, you're on.
Ladies, gentlemen, board members, district staff, my name is Stuart McCullough, and I'm one of the 6 vocational agricultural instructors at Los Banos High School and one of the 14 employed by the Los Banos Unified School District. It is with great pleasure tonight that I stand before you with Adam Jacobo and Diolinda Brazil to recognize the amazing accomplishments of the 8 FFA members last week at the 96th National FFA Convention and Exposition in Indianapolis, Indiana. I apologize up front for my voice. It's shot, so I'm going to do everything I can to do the utmost justice to these kids and their recognition. All these students stood before you last May as we recognized their achievements at the state level competitions last spring. Now we've brought them back to be recognized for the outstanding week they had in Indianapolis. The first individuals that we're going to recognize are the Los Banos FFA Dairy Cattle Evaluation Team. Matthew Pacheco, Brooklyn Silva, Carly Rocha, and Zoe Wooten were the team that represented California in this year's contest. After winning the state contest in May, they started immediately preparing for the national contest with practices all summer long and right up until the day prior of their event. Trips to cattle shows all over the state, meetings with dairy nutritionists, fall workout with Cal Poly and Modesto Junior College, a tour of a fully robotic dairy in Ohio, and evaluating classes of cattle at the Ohio State University Dairy, and a lot of time working on the test questions with Kirsten Reyes, both in person and her daily Quizlets via email, prepared this team to compete against the 41 other teams from across the nation. There are 5 components to the 2-day national contest: live cattle evaluation, oral reasons, herd summary report, a knowledge exam, and the team scenario presentation. Individually, the students received the following recognition: Zoe Wooten, a bronze award; Carly Rocha, a gold award; Brooklyn Silva, gold award; Matthew Pacheco, a gold award. From the gold award recipients, Matthew Pacheco was announced that he was in the top individuals to find out their final ranking on the stage at the 6th general session at the Lucas Oil Stadium in front of the 69,000 members and guests that were in attendance at the convention. The team received the following recognitions. They are the high team overall in the team scenario presentation. They were a gold award team, which denotes that they are in the top 10 teams in the nation. Of the top 10 teams, it was announced at that earlier ceremony of the day that they were in the top 4 teams, and their final placing would also be announced at the 6th general session along with Matthew. At the 6th general session, the members of the Los Banos FFA Dairy Cattle Evaluation Team stood tall. As member Matthew Pacheco was announced as the 5th high individual in the nation, and the team was announced as the 4th high team in the nation. It had been 60 years since the Los Banos FFA represented California in this contest, and represent these 4 did for sure. Zoe, Carly, Brooklyn, and Matthew, congratulations on your accomplishment, as all of your time and effort definitely paid off in Indianapolis. Moving on, we're going to go with Miss Mackenzie Miguel from the Los Banos Junior High FFA chapter, and she was in the the area of agri-science fair. She was in Division I Food and Processing Systems, a division that is for middle school participants. This is the first time we've ever had a student compete at this level in the agri-science fair. With her efforts, her research, and the presentation of her findings, I am proud to announce that Mackenzie stood proudly as she was announced as the 9th high individual in the nation at the 4th general session. Continue to the area of El Credo de la FFA, or what we call the Spanish Creed. This is the inaugural year of this contest at the national level. This year's contest had participants from 18 states that totaled 37 speakers. They covered our nation with the participants from as far east as New York, north to Minnesota, south to Texas and New Mexico, west from California, Oregon, and Washington, and others scattered throughout. This inaugural event was nothing short of quality competitors that came ready to compete. The Los Banos Junior High FFA had 2 members in the competition, Andrea Aguilar and Helena Trujillo. The Los Banos FFA was represented by Jaylene Barriga. They started their long day a week ago last Wednesday at 8 a.m. with their orientation, quarterfinal room assignments, and the first draw for order. And then they were off and running. The students had to be in the top 2 in their respective rooms in order to move to the semifinal round. At the end of the round, we were all very excited that all 3 of our speakers had made it to the semifinal round and to the top 12 in the nation. Additionally, Andrea and Helena were the only 2 middle school students to make it out of the quarterfinal round of the competition. A new room assignment, another draw, and the next round was underway at 1 p.m. That afternoon at 3:30, the results were in, and we were excited as Miss Jaylene Barriga was announced that she had made it into the final round in the top 6 in the nation. One more room assignment, draw for order, and the final round started at 4:30 p.m. At the awards ceremony that was held after a social that was paid for by donations from the members of the community of Los Banos, every single participant in the contest was recognized for their achievement and participation in this historic event. After all the recognitions, it was time for the final results, and I am proud to announce that Ms. Jaylene Barriga's final placement in the first ever national level public speaking contest in our nation in Spanish was 5th high individual in the nation. The Spanish Creed joins a list of very historic events in the history of the FFA. In 1965, the NFA merged with the FFA right in the middle of the civil rights movement. In 1969, women were allowed to join the FFA. And now in 2023, the FFA has yet again recognized the needs and diversity of its members and have offered another opportunity for students to gain knowledge and build leadership skills through public speaking in the Spanish language. Take a minute to think about being the first students ever to compete in the first ever national speaking contest that represents the 21 Spanish-speaking countries that have contributed to the amazing diverse U.S. population. These 3 students, along with the 34 others, are a bookmark in the history of this organization and in our nation. I would like to publicly take time to thank everyone who has supported these 8 students in their journey to the national level. It takes a lot of work to be ready for this level of competition, and the support that each of these folks have given to these children helped launch these students to their amazing success. So thank you again for the support for these children. In closing, I have a couple of thoughts to leave you with. Now, I haven't talked to these folks about this, but students, I'd like you to turn around and face the audience for a second, please. It's okay, they're not going to bite you. Okay? All right, everybody get a good look? All right, you guys get a good look too? All right, everybody turn back around and face the front. Now, what I wanted everyone to have a chance to see was their faces while they're in uniform. When an FFA member walks up to you in uniform, you only see them as an FFA member. You don't know what state they're from, and you don't know what chapter they're from. Okay? So you don't know what chapter they're from or state, which is exactly my point. The message I want to convey is that the FFA is just like agriculture. It has no boundaries, line in the sand, or crosstown clash. The FFA is one big family that unites its members with one uniform and one logo nationwide. Okay? Additionally, I wanted each of you to see the back of their jackets. Okay? This was not to showcase their chapter or the state on their jacket, but more importantly, I wanted to let you know that these and many more of these students that wear the blue and gold are the future leaders that we will follow. These are the students that will set the standard of leadership by always being in front and never in the lead. These students are the ones that exemplify premier leadership, professional growth, and career success through agriculture education. So, when closing even further, I want to thank you guys for taking the time this evening to let us come here and recognize these students. And can we have one big, great round of applause for their accomplishment?
Good evening. My name is Adam Jacobo. I am an instructor at Los Banas Junior High. So, Mr. McCullough was up here talking about our great students, but he forgot to mention himself. It is my honor to present you this evening Mr. McCullough and one of his many achievements. On Friday, November 3rd, Mr. McCullough was honored with the honorary FFA degree. He was one of 213 individuals in the nation to receive this degree. The honorary FFA degree is given to individuals who provide exponential service on national level to agriculture, agriculture education, and or FFA. Additionally, teachers who have created high-quality agricultural education programs which inspire and motivate their students to strive for success are eligible. Mr. McCullough was nominated by our California state staff who honored him with this degree. Mr. McCullough has taught at Los Banas High School for his entire 27 years of education. In his years of service, he has taught in the shop as well as in the classroom. He has created classroom curriculum for ag foods, science, and other courses offered at Los Banas Unified. It is apparent here today, we look around, it is apparent that he so heartily earned the FFA degree. I would personally like to congratulate and thank Mr. McCullough for his service. Thank you.
I know I speak for all the board up here and administration in the district. We are so very proud of you all. Of course you can. So while they're coming down, they want to do photos, so come on down. But while you're coming down, I just want to say we're all extremely proud of you. Keep up the great work. Mr. McCullough, congratulations. Thank you for being the great leader you are to our students. We appreciate that so much. That's all right. All right. Thank you all. Congratulations. It's always a great way to start a meeting when we can celebrate our own students. So congratulations again, and thank you for coming down here and sharing your success. Appreciate it. All right. Members of the public who would like to have something placed on our agenda, you may do so by notifying the superintendent 2 weeks prior to a regularly scheduled board meeting. And if it's within our purview, we'll take it up for consideration at a future board meeting. Anybody here tonight that would like to comment on any item on our agenda may do so by approaching the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. If there are multiple speakers on that agenda item, the total time will be 20 minutes. And there is a clock under the monitor over there, and that'll give you an idea of your time remaining. So check it out. If there's anybody here tonight that wishes to address the board on any item that is not on tonight's agenda, you may do so in a second by coming up to the podium and addressing the board. You will have 3 minutes to speak. If there are multiple speakers on the same non-agenda item, is also that same 20-minute limit to the time for speakers. So with that, is there anybody here tonight that wishes to address the board on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? Good evening, Dr. Lotta.
Good evening. My name is April Lotta. I'm the principal of Westside Elementary, but I'm also a parent here in Los Banos, and I just wanted to let you guys know about an amazing job that our transportation department handled this weekend. So as a parent, I appreciated them so much. I don't know if you were aware, but we had a little minor mishap on the way to a cross-country meet this weekend. And we were all up at 5 whatever in the morning. And when you get a call or a text as a parent and you know your child was on that bus. But I wanted to give a shout out to David Taylor and his team, because as a parent, I felt very secure knowing that they were taking care of the issue and they followed all the proper protocols and really, really tried hard to get our students to their meet on time. My daughter made it on time. Some did not, but the coach also got the students to be able to run. So I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you so much as a parent, because it was very, very appreciated. So thank you to David Taylor and his team.
Thank you. Good to know. Appreciate that. Anybody else wish to address the board on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing no one come forward, it's time for our student representative report. Welcome. Whatever one you want. Which one? Does that work? Hi, Mariah.
Hi. Is it working?
It's working.
Okay. So, our board report, I'm starting with Los Banos High School. So, sports news. Tiger Nation is having a great fall season with the following teams having success. The girls frosh-off volleyball finished the season as WAC champions, and the boys JV football also finished the season as WAC champs. Varsity boys football finished the league season undefeated for the second year in a row and are also WAC champions. Our football team will be hosting Center High School this Friday at 7 p.m. for a Division V semifinal game. The student section theme is Don't Sleep on Us, where the Tigers will be wearing their PJs. Football seniors began to hand out their jerseys to teachers and staff who impacted them throughout their years at LBHS. Girls tennis upset the number 1 seed in Division IV tennis and will be playing for a section championship this Friday at 9 a.m. against Placer. Cross-country varsity girls finished second place in the league, and the frosh-off girls team will be advancing to sections in Folsom this Saturday. School news. The LBHS 2023 Fall Art Show took place on Friday, November 3rd. It was organized by the art department in a campus-wide collaboration featuring Miss Zora's drama club, Mr. Nelson's guitar class, Miss Cazavo's piano class, and ofrendas honoring family members from the foreign language department for students and staff to enjoy during the school day. One piece of artwork was submitted by every student in every art class at LBHS. Students and staff were able to attend the event throughout the day while the drama club performed skits, along with music being played by the piano and guitar class students. Los Banos High School's Black Student Union is planning a Ruby Bridges Walk for students. This will be taking place on the morning of November 14th. BSU members are walking and wearing purple to honor and acknowledge her significance. In addition to the walk, there will be a door decorating contest to honor Ruby Bridges. Teachers and staff are welcome to decorate their classroom doors, and the final designs will be judged. LBHS S Club raised over $500 to donate towards breast cancer research at the October Pink Out football game. During November and December, the S Club will host a blanket drive. There will be donation boxes placed throughout LBHS teachers' classrooms for new, unused blankets to be collected. The donated blankets will be given to local nursing homes. That's Los Banos. And then Pacheco High School. Athletics. Pacheco boys water polo was the lone district representative for the playoffs in this sport. The team lost in the first round to Merced but had a great season. Pacheco girls cross country claimed the school's first ever league title and won 3 of the 4 league meets this season. 6 athletes earned first or second team honors. Joining the girls on all league were Jace Campos, Tanner Berglund, and Gio Mejia on the boys team. Activities. The Kyoto Student Exchange Program was a big success. Thank you to Dr. Marshall and board members who attended the student assembly last month. Several science teachers and Mrs. Burham took 88 PHS students to Yosemite on November 3rd. Students enjoyed their time and made it back to Los Banos safely. We intend to take PHS students to new and interesting places regularly to have experiences that they may not be able to have otherwise. That's it.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
And as always, if you need to leave, do so at any time. And if you want to hang out, we'll be glad to have you here. And if you have anything you want to say, just let us know. You have the right to talk. All right. Next is the California School Employees Association report. CSEA, anybody here tonight? All right. And Los Banos Teachers Association report. Seeing no one come forward? Okay. On to facilities report. Good evening, Ms. Monday.
Good evening. Let me get situated here. All right. Good evening, board members, President Pereira, Dr. Marshall, and Executive Cabinet. My name is Sherry Mende, and I am the Manager of Facilities and Special Projects. I'm going to be doing my facilities update for November 9th, 2023. Here on the first page, you'll see the color rendering of what the artificial turf and rubber track surface will look like at Lofton Stadium for the Phase 2. Board Member Smith, you asked last time about the colors, so I thought I'd give you a view of what it's going to look like. This is slightly outdated. Both ends, the D zone, which is behind the goalpost, both sides of that will be rubberized surface. One side shows asphalt right now. I mean, not asphalt, artificial turf. And then we're going to be putting our long jump shop, our pole vault and our high jump areas in those, so they'll be on the rubberized surface, so that's really safe for the students. That project will start on Monday, this coming Monday, November 13th, and our estimated completion date is Monday, March 12th, 2024. We anticipate some rain delays with starting this time of year. I don't know if anybody's watched the news, but there's a big storm coming next week. So crossing my fingers, that's going to pass on by Los Banos. They delivered the BMY, the contractor there, delivered their construction trailer today, which is out of the way for the game this weekend. And so the scope of work for this project is new artificial turf, new rubberized track surfacing, new track event areas, so long jump, shot put, pole vault, high jump, some fencing and gate and ADA upgrades, electrical infrastructure, and asphalt paving. So that's what I'll be reporting out. I'll have some pictures next time of that being underway. Another project that just started this past Monday was the Los Banos High School Tiger Gym re-roofing. They have delivered their materials. They have loaded the majority on the roof. There's a lay-down area out in the yard that is construction fenced off to keep everybody safe. And I want to thank the Los Banos High School administration as well as the PE department for being very flexible. They're not able to go in the gym where they're doing a portion of that work, so they've worked with me on that, so I really appreciate that. This other project, Mercy Springs Elementary at the preschool. This was their funding, special ed and preschool funds. It's an ADA accessible playground that was installed in October. There's some rubberized pour-in-place surface there. This week they're working on during a concrete slab for a trike track. They're working on that right now. They're going to be pouring tomorrow. And then depending on weather, they hope to stripe that next week, and then the kids will be able to be out there and playing on that. Our new TK Center, I wanted to provide you an update. So we're still working on the site plans, developing them with the architect. I have a weekly meeting with them, so we're just kind of moving on along through that process. We hope that we are able to submit our modular building plans to CDE for approval by the end of November. I'm working on ED specifications that I would be bringing to the board for approval. Next meeting that we would need to submit with that packet. We're still going through the CEQA process on the property. We've already done our PEA soil sampling, and that has been, we expect to have our report back submitted to DTSC by the end of November. Then there's a 30-day public comment period that we have to wait before we can bring that to the board for approval. So tentatively, we'll be bringing that report in January. We expect to finish the entire CEQA process by March and bring that back to the board for approval. And then once that is approved, we can submit that whole package to CDE, and then we should be able to start moving forward through all these processes to get to actually build the site. So that's what we're hoping for, to be on time for our opening date of August 2025. Other projects that are kind of going on in the district right now, Mercy Springs Elementary shade structure. When I did this report, we were waiting for approval. I just got the approval letter yesterday or today. I think it was dated yesterday, but I received it today. Los Banos Junior High School freezer. Those plans are being resubmitted to DSA because of the location to the building. They needed to have fire sprinklers added to the plans. Our EV solar PV arrays at FOT will be starting in January. And Volta modernization, reviewing the plans with the architect. I have a meeting with the admin and the architect next week to review those one more time. Hopefully we can get those submitted to DSA soon. The modernization, we're still just working on developing that. There's an agenda item tonight to start bidding out the admin building. We need to have that so we can put those plans into our entire modernization plan to be able to submit that to DSA. So that's why we have to bid the building first.
That's for Los Banos High School, correct?
Yes. The fire alarm project at the high school is going to be complete at the end of December. The Lofton Solar, we haven't really talked about that recently. You guys probably thought it was done, but it is not. There was a long lead time item that they'd been waiting for. And so they're actually coming next week. They're going to complete that. They're going to coordinate with BMY, who's going to be out there doing the work. So there should be no issue with that, with them interfering with their phase 2 work. And the Los Banos Elementary parking lot is starting on Monday. We had our pre-con today. The school site admin was there, as well as Garth from the IS department. And so we worked out all the logistics, and everything seems to be going to go smooth on that project, other than, cross our fingers, no weather. And that is my report. Any
Thank you.
questions,
Any
comments?
No questions? Thank you very much.
Okay,
A lot
thank you.
going on. Lots going on. Thanks. All right. Superintendent's report, Dr. Marshall.
Thank you. First, I want to say that you learn as you get older, you get forgetful, and you make mistakes. I sent out my October message, and there was a big oversight. I went to visit Mackenzie Ferreira's class, and that was a great activity, donuts and decimals. To all the teachers out there, I enjoy visiting your classroom, so just contact Tina Accardo, and she'll schedule me to come and visit. But I really enjoyed that activity, and I should have put that in my report. We have great students in Los Banos, as you've seen thus far. Mariah, you took part of my report away because I wanted to acknowledge some of the students that you spoke of. But there were a few that you didn't mention. We have 43 students at Los Banos High School. They earned the Merced County Seal of Biliteracy. That's one. 43 students. That's awesome. Los Banos Junior High, the boys soccer team, they won the West Side Athletic League Championship. We also have a student at Los Banos High School who's been nationally ranked in school wrestling. That's Brockton Borelli. So we have amazing kids in Los Banos. But we also have some great staff members. I want to start with Crossroads. We have Dr. Barbie Severns, Nancy Gilardi, and Tammy Calzadias, sitting right here. They were responsible. We have a great teacher induction program in Los Banos. We have that. But we've taken it to the next level. Now we have an induction program for administrators that was approved. So I want to just put that out there. Our math department at Los Banos High School and Jason Waldman, they were invited to the National Council of Teaching of Mathematics to the fall conference, and they were recognized for their work with Joe Bowler with the data science class. We have Sergio Dialba. He won a $20,000 grant to support his engagement program. And he also got a grant from the Westside Community Foundation to support his art program. And kind of tied to the TK news that was shared recently, we learned that we're going to get $7 million in a competitive grant from the State Facilities Fund to help us with the TK facility. So as we get more information, I'll be sharing that. So to close this part of my presentation, I'll be back later in the agenda. I want us to keep our veterans in mind. It was nice to start the day with the flag raising ceremony at Volta. That was really, and I think a lot of the sites have done that this year. But I wanted to say that, and then have a Thanksgiving break, and I will be back to talk about facilities later in the agenda.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much. All right, on to board member reports. Ms. Smith, we'll start off with you.
Well, I'd like to continue with amazing people in our district. Dr. Marshall talked about quite a few, but there's one lady that I want to acknowledge. Her name is Mrs. Kata. She is my granddaughter's kindergarten teacher, and she's absolutely amazing. She's amazing because when she took on my granddaughter, she had a speech problem, and she had a difficult time communicating. She is down to her 50 words, and yesterday she gave me a word that begins with O, and I asked her for one more word, and she said optical illusion. And Grandma was over the top. So I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Kata. She's done some amazing things with those kids in her class, and I just can't praise her enough. I think it started actually in TK, but I can't praise the Los Banos Unified School District teaching staff enough. I want to say the holidays are upon us. It's a time for family and friends and cheer. Everyone keep themselves safe, enjoy your families, make good memories, and last but not least, from my house to yours, happy holidays. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Gattuso.
Thank you. This month there was a lot of activities, and so I'll let some of the others say some, but I do want to talk about a couple of them. The flag raising this morning was wonderful at Volta, and I want to thank all our veterans, but also the veterans that did the flag raising there and many other places today. I think they must have had about 6 different places at least that they went to today. So just a shout out to them. I wanted to also mention Jason Walsh from Los Banos Junior High. I was able to be part of his class activity that he's doing. The students are reading Marcus Aurelius Meditations, which if you haven't read it, oh my Lord, that book is deep. And so I got to actually be a lead in a group of students, and I thought it might be a little difficult to get them to speak and talk about the book, but they did a wonderful job. He's done a wonderful job with the students. I was so impressed with their maturity and the questions and their dialogue. It was just pretty amazing. So that we did the first 4 chapters. Next time I go, we'll do the next chapters. And I know some of the other board members are also doing the same with the groups. And I think that's all I'll talk about tonight because I know I don't want to take anybody else's steam away from them. So thank you all.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lee.
So I will echo everything that Ori Gattuso said. There's a lot of stuff going on, but just a few things. Congratulations to FFA and all the student athletes at all of our schools. I attended the Veterans Parade, and congratulations to Mercy Springs Elementary, Los Banos Junior High, and Pacheco High for winning the awards for the floats. And congratulations to Brockton Borelli, 14th in the nation for 195 pounds weight. So that's excellent. I also attended the Halloween parade downtown and took some photos of April Lotta with her outfit on, her high school football outfit. Football, yeah, that was nice. And I also attended the egg drop at Henry Miller Elementary. If you've never gone to an egg drop before, the first one here that I've gone to, kids get into it big time. So I had a good time watching which eggs lived and which eggs died. And then a couple other last things. Dia de la Muerta. First time I went to the library competition at Los Banos Junior High and was thoroughly impressed. I'm a big Coco fan, so when I walked in that library, I believed I walked into the movie set. And then the last is I went to the Los Banos High School band haunted house. The second time I've gone to that. Thoroughly impressed again with all the work that goes into that production of that haunted house. So, and happy holidays and thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Munoz.
All right, I'll start with the MCSBA conference in Monterey. Okay, we attend that conference yearly, every October. The main thing that really caught my eye in the conference was, and I have to give kudos to Mr. Leap for introducing that to MCSBA, and it's evolved technology. This is something that really, how do I explain that, Mr. Leap? Yeah, you just can't. I just can't stop thinking about it. I look at it, on the internet, and go through all kinds of things. But here it's all about safety. What's entering our schools. Okay, it's like a metal detector, but you can walk through it regular. I have a little saying here. It says here, experience, evolve, express, the new standard for today's world. And the first AI embedded and enabled touchless security screening solution that spots weapons while ignoring harmless items as visitors walk through at a natural pace. Okay, they have it's where it's a double where more people can just walk through, and they have a single setup where just monitor and just walk through, and it'll pick up if you're carrying a weapon, a knife, anything really that needs to be detected. I just can't get over that. Okay, the Fall Festival over at Miano. I'd like to thank Mrs. Zilla Diaz for the invite. I really had a good time. I took pictures. I took pictures with, how do you say it, Mr. Pumpkin Man, I would call him. Okay, but I had fun there, and I had some food, and I was talking to some of the parents. I had a good time. I also attended the Fall Festival over at Creekside. Okay, I was over at the robotics display with Mr. Tim Burns. Okay, he's over at Creekside now. Okay, and I thank Mr. Lawrence. Sorry. Okay, and I was watching the bronking horse, watching the kids ride this mechanical bronc that they got out there. That was really something. Okay, and then I have the Fort Lauderdale dancers. I watched those. They're really nice outfits. The hairs, when their hair was done, it was really nice. I missed out on the haunted house over at Creekside in the cafeteria due to unfortunate accident with the display inside. So they had to close that down right about when I was ready to go in. So, okay, then over at Henry Miller Elementary, Stacy Raines, 5th grade egg drop. That was nice. That was a science project for the 5th graders. And first time I've seen that, where they have an egg and they, how do I say it? They cushion it in a box, a bag, or with balloons, and then they toss them off the roof of the building. And that was really neat. I really had a good time on that one. Then I went to the fall parade downtown, decorated a bus, a small bus that we had for board members. Had a good time with that, waving the flag and saying hi to everybody and everybody waving back. Really had a good time with all the other board members that were on board. And then last, Volta flag ceremony. Had a good time with that this morning. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Moran.
I can now see the trouble, Anthony, when you go last. It's like the thunder stolen, right? But going off of what Lori was mentioning, I definitely had a note to give kudos to my student that I'm leading. I did have the same reservations in my daytime job, only dealing with adult students. I said, what if they don't say anything back to me? What am I going to then respond back? But the students at Los Banos Junior High, they're so insightful. They are so... I felt like I was working with college students in that room. So they're so insightful, talented. They have a good head on their shoulders. And I am so happy that I'll get to be getting to know them throughout the academic year. So we are on, our next session is in December. So I look forward to meeting my group again. So it's a little home away from home with the group that I have. And they're just a pleasure to work with. So thank you to Mr. Walsh. And then in the spirit of the holiday coming and just being thankful, I just wanted to thank each of my fellow board members just because we did bring back participating a little bit more in community events, the Veterans Parade being one of them. And so it's just really nice to work alongside each and every one of my fellow board members. It's a pleasure to do this, the role that requires additional hours of making sure we do our homework and review board packets, and we're all doing that in isolation to come prepared for these meetings, but I know that behind everyone's doing the same, and we have the best interest for the school district. So wanted to thank that. So that is my report. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Ms. Valdeo.
I was invited out to Volta to judge their poetry contest, and it's always an honor. What great poets. A lot of hard work went into that, and it was wonderful to see that. So I actually had something somebody didn't say. I also want to give a shout out to coaches that coach our athletes out there, because my stepson, Dexter Coelho, he coaches the freshman volleyball team at Los Banos High School, and they won their league this year. And I know the hard work he puts in and the extra hours and the dedication. I know he's not the only one. He loves what he does, and I'm sure all the coaches out there who put their time and effort into our students, thank you so much. It's very much appreciated.
That's it. Well, ditto. So I don't have to repeat everything. But there was a couple things that I just wanted to hit on that was not mentioned. First of all, Pacheco High School did the play production Clue. It was really good. So congratulations, and I know they had a 6-day run, I think. So it was a great production, and they actually had so many students that wanted to be part of the play. They actually had 2 casts, and so they alternated nights, and so it was a great opportunity to experience what they put together, and kudos to the director over there for taking the initiative to say, we have a lot of students who want to participate, and so let's have 2 casts. So congratulations to that, and it was a well done production. And also, I have been to a lot of high school plays, and they finally got one thing right, and that is they have mics on every student, every speaker. So it's so nice to see the technology being used, so you can hear everything that everybody said. Sometimes they only had some of the key players mic'd because they didn't have enough mics, but this time they had every actor mic, so that was a great thing. So we can hear everything that they say. It was great. The other thing is that I want to acknowledge all of the schools that participated in the Veterans Day Parade. It was the first time that the board participated. They were on a school bus driving through. Um, I didn't get to ride the bus, and neither did Gene. Gene was taking pictures for the West Side Express, and I was the announcer for the parade, so I was on the stage watching them all go by. So I got to see, like, these guys didn't get to see everybody. I got to see every single school that came by. Great enthusiasm, and a couple of them, some of them had some great props. A couple did great floats. So kudos to all of the students and staff and parents who participated in that parade to honor our veterans. So thank you for all the time you put in to make it happen. And keep in mind, it's going to happen the first Saturday of November next year. So start planning. You guys all did a great job. So kudos to all of you for that. And with that, we are ready to move on. New business, item A, Williams Settlement Report. Dr. Marshall.
Yes, well, we have tonight with us Dr. Tejan from our Merced County Office of Education.
Welcome, Dr. Tejan.
Good evening. It's good to be back. It feels like home being back here in Las Banas. In fact, so much like home that that was date night, so I brought my beautiful bride with me. But dinner's still a little while off. At the risk of extending the meeting a little bit longer, I just wanted to say what a pleasure it is to come to your meeting and hear about all the wonderful things your students are doing. Las Banas is a great place to raise kids. And even though I'm here tonight because of the Williams report, I just want to reinforce really what a wonderful staff you've got. In fact, I've been writing some names down of the next group of folks I'm going to recruit. And folks wonder, why would you go to the county office? Well, 15-minute board meetings. That's why you go to the county office. So I'm here tonight on a serious note to talk about the Williams report. The Williams report comes to you once a year based on a settlement that was entered into between Governor Schwarzenegger and a group of parties that sued the state over the condition of schools back in 2004-05. And the settlement basically put the county superintendent's office in the middle of monitoring school districts across the state. And so county superintendents are charged every year with going out and monitoring about 25, in our case, about 25% of our schools, which is right around 25 schools across the county, to identify how they're doing with textbooks, how they're doing with their facilities, and whether the teachers are credentialed or not. And so there are 3 schools in the Las Banas Unified School District that were identified for review. I'm happy to report, I have to turn my light on my phone. I'm not texting, I'm trying to read the small print. It's in your packet. But instructional materials for Las Banas Elementary, Mercy Springs, and Volta Elementary, there were no concerns identified. Emergencies identified for facilities, none were identified. And there were no inconsistencies with your school report card, your SARC. And so good news there. Your schools, 2 of the schools were identified because of test scores. And we all know that the test scores can be challenging, particularly in light of post-pandemic era. And so for better picture of your school system is to look at the dashboard and look at the totality of the reviews the state now has put together to examine schools. One school was identified, Volta, for teacher credentialing. The state, in its wisdom, allows us to, of course, bring people right out of college with a BA and assign them to a classroom and put them on what's called a provisional internship permit. But when you do that, they ding you on their annual report. And so Volta was pulled in because of that reason. LBE and Mercy Springs were pulled in because of test scores. Mercy Springs subgroup, LBE because of statewide comparison ban. So good work's happening here. Want to reinforce that. It's exciting to see the growth. About 16 years ago tonight, the school board was contemplating running a bond issue, as I recall, and Mr. Pereira was a co-chair. So here you are 16 years later, many new schools and lots going on in facilities. So congratulations. Have a great evening. Becky and I are going to dinner.
All right.
We'll see you.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. All right, next item is our counseling services presentation. Bring on the counselors. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Grace Long, and I'm an academic counselor at Pacheco High School. This is my 11th school year in the district.
And I'm Katie Leeper, also academic counselor at Los Banos High School. This is my second year in this position. Well, I started as student advocate just before the pandemic hit.
Which one? This one? Never used one of these before in here. Okay, so we have recently had some trainings through Hatching Results, and we realized that several people that we've run into don't always know what counselors do and how we serve our students. So we wanted to put something together to kind of just inform the community. So we're a team of over 30 counselors that are serving all secondary and elementary sites. Every single site in our district has a counselor. And there's 4 types: academic, college and career, wellness, and EL support counselors. We all have different functions on campus, and many of the duties that we have are not listed in this presentation, but we wanted to kind of highlight and focus on some of our main priorities. Let's see here. So some of the ways we serve our students, we wear many hats throughout the day, but we focus on individual counseling, academic planning and goal setting, along with classroom lessons based on students' needs. We offer social and emotional support and college and career exploration. We also collaborate with families, staff members, teachers, aides on campus, and admin in order to find ways to best support our students. We have parent outreach options that we present, and then we analyze data in order to find better ways to identify students' needs. Oh, I think I skipped. Oh, there we go. All right, so last year we were very blessed to have the support of our administration and the district office. They brought to us Hatching Results, which is an agency that helps improve school counseling programs. This is the first time that we've actually had a professional development training as a counselor. Like I said, this is my 11th school year, and I've never had any professional development that was geared towards counseling programs. We feel blessed to have this agency working with us. We meet 3 times a year for 2 days at a time, and we've been able to actually implement more of the Ask a National model, which is what the school counselors are guided by, and basically learn new techniques and strategies to use on our campuses in order to meet a larger number of students in a more efficient way. So as far as data goes, which we are now learning through Hatching Results on a way to better improve the way that we collect it and the way that we analyze it in order to use it on how to improve our resources. We had over 70 parent presentations and workshops for our parents district-wide. We also provided, or what we like about the parent outreach is that it gives us a place to provide parents with a space to learn and share their concerns so that we can come up with solutions together. So it's not just the counseling team or the administrators. We're getting parent input that really helps guide what our next steps need to be as far as reaching our students. And we plan to increase the parent outreach with a variety of different things that we are starting to plan. And then last year, counselors facilitated over 100 school-wide events district-wide. And they cover so many different topics. I can go on and on about them, but we listed a few in this presentation. And they cover just school culture, anti-bullying, drug and alcohol awareness, mental health and well-being, college and career exploration, and so many others. But we are just basically working on now that we come together as a counseling team several times a year, we're able to look at what our students' needs so that we can increase this number and the outreach methods that we're using.
She mentioned some of the workshops and presentations that we've done with students and parents. Even some of our staff too join in on these. They get the benefit of being in the classroom when we're in the classrooms. So they're not necessarily learning, but they're understanding what our goals are too as the students are learning. I know at Los Banos High School, we've been already in the classrooms this year for the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade levels, reviewing A through G requirements, reviewing graduation requirements, talking about four-year plans, using CCGI. That's been our big focus. We really want to hammer it so that they understand it, they know it inside and out. That's our biggest goal. Our wellness counselor is always busy doing various workshops in classrooms. We utilize our Pride Time also for workshops with students at the high school level where I'm at. Lots of different ways that we're trying to reach our student populations and support our parents as well and our families in the community. So by us working together, we're only doing this to better our services for our students. That is something that, for me, being new in this position, has been very helpful. Getting the support of veterans and then also looking at things in a new way also has been really helpful. So we do plan to expand as our student engagement. That is the goal. We want students engaged because we know that that is kind of the key to a lot of things. So that is kind of something that we're working with through Hatching Results. We are very proud of our graduation rates, but they can always be better, of course, right? So we had a 95% graduation rate last year, and we're proud of that, but we want to see that improve. Along with our A through G rate, it was at 45.5%, which is good, but improvement is always the goal. So we will continue to work on that as well, with as many more supports and resources as we can through Hatching Results as well. And then as a secondary counseling team, we came together and developed a bit of a mission statement. And we're a unified district, and we have 2 schools. We want our students to have access to all of the same things, and we want our kids to meet the same goals. And so we put together this little mission statement to ensure that every LBUSD graduate will be responsible, resilient, and resourceful. Our students will leave prepared, confident, and skillful with the ability to accomplish their goals and be contributing members of society. So those are things that we've been working on as a counseling team. We are very grateful for it. I am a newbie, so I am very grateful. All of the learning, it can't come at me fast enough. It's overwhelming, but it's great, and I really enjoy the support. I think that is the end. So thank you very much for letting us tell you what we do. I don't know who that is.
Do we have any questions?
Working together, that's wonderful to hear, and good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Just also want to thank everyone because of the recent tragedy involving the Pacheco High School students. Our district kept all the counselors in the loop inside the district and kept them on standby in order for them to come to our site and support us. And Dr. Horton has been communicating with everybody. So we're very grateful for everybody's support that's been able to come down and help us out. So thank you.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good job. Thank you very much. Dr. Ritchie, next item on the agenda is the 2023 CAPS result.
That's right. And before I begin with that, I just want to acknowledge, just thank our counselors for such a great presentation. I don't know if you remember, board, but I think it was last year or the year before, when I brought to the board for your approval for the Hatching Results contract, I discussed that when we expanded our programs and said we expand our counseling services, but we're not quite certain how to make it happen, how to make a system. We're seeing right now the results of counselors working together, and we're seeing what's actually happening with our students, and it's just getting better. Our counselors are incredible, and the work that they're doing, we saw proof this week. And what happens when you have a strong, robust counseling program and the work that they're doing for students in light of tragedy, but also through just working together as a team. So just kudos to our counseling program and our counselors. So to start us off, we have the last month, the 2022-23 CASP results were released. This is, as you know, these are the state assessment data. Our students take this assessment in the spring each year. And so these are the results of the state assessments. We're going to go through this, look at overall. We're going to look at student subgroups. We're going to look at some comparison data, and just kind of talk a little bit about what it means. If you have any questions while we're going through this, feel free to interrupt me and ask. It's a lot more fun to do questions right in the moment than to wait to the end. And Mr. Lieb, I know you like questions, so I'm ready to go. Okay, so starting us off, these are our overall results. And what we see here, we have our overall ELA and math results. If you look in the upper left-hand corner on both of those charts, it shows that the met or exceeded percentage. This is the percentage of students, the total number of students who took the assessment. This is the percentage of those students who met either level 3 or level 4, that either the met or exceeded the standard. So there's the 4 results that a student can receive are standard not met, standard nearly met, standard met, or standard exceeded. So level 1, 2, 3, or 4. So these are the students who scored a 3 or a 4 on the CASP. And the end, as you know, the CASP is administered in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11. Now, that number, 31%, that's down from the previous year. And statewide, we saw that there was a dip. The average for California dropped as well. And most districts across California also dropped in ELA last year. And if you look at our mathematics results, we have 19% met or exceeded standard. That's up from the previous year. And we also see across the California average, and also districts across California, the majority also rose. So we're pretty in line with what's going on, the trends in the state. Something else you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner of each chart is distance from standard. So this is an estimate. We won't actually have our actual distance from standard until the dashboard results are released in December, or hopefully later this month, but I'm not holding my breath. Well, this is an estimate that's provided to us by our data agreement with Parsec Education. And so this is an estimate of our average distance from standard. What that means is this takes our average student score, and then it says the average student score versus what is the lowest score possible to achieve level 3 or meet standard. And then it computes what's the average distance between our average student score and the lowest score possible to achieve level 3. Our students, you can see, score about 52 points below meeting standard in ELA and about 87 points below in mathematics. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The next slide is our overall ELA results. And one of the most important things we can do when we look at data is overall is nice, but it's really important to look at how our student subgroups are doing. One of the things that the LCAP that we're tasked to do is with the LCAP, we're required to look at how our subgroups doing and what are the actions we're taking in order to help improve the academic achievement of our subgroups. So the first group right there is race and ethnicity. If you look at the blue column there on the right, it'll give you met or exceeded standard. It just gives you a list of the percentage of students that met or exceeded standard for each subgroup under race and ethnicity. And then on then it'll also give you the distance from standard score. And you'll see just the ranking of, and also if you see on the far right, it'll give you the number of scores. So that's the number of students who identify from Aries as that race or ethnicity who participated and took the CASP assessments last spring. So for example, we'll see that you have 59% of students who are identified as Asian, met or exceeded standards. That's out of 46 total tests taken on ELA. If our 85% of our students identify as Hispanic or Latino, and if you look down below, we have 30% of students who identify as Hispanic or Latino met or exceeded standard out of 4,868 tests taken. If you go down, you have socioeconomically disadvantaged. You see the scores there. We have, when it says yes, that means basically students who participate in the free and reduced lunch program. No means they do not participate in free and reduced lunch program. And we have about 78% of our students district-wide participate in that program. You can see the difference between the two numbers of met and exceed standard. These are things that as we look at the LCAP this year and the LCAP development, these are some of the things we'll be talking about, is looking at how can we better serve our students who have a discrepancy between, for example, We see a big gap between our students who participate in that program and those who don't in terms of academic achievement, and how can we address those students' needs. We look at our English learners. 10% of our English learners met or exceed standard versus 39% who are English only. We have students with disabilities, only 7% met or exceed standards. Foster youth, 11%, and homeless youth, 26%. That's on ELA. Math is along the same lines, but statewide, you see that the math results are far less in terms of students who met or exceeded standard, and our district follows suit as well. You'll see that the majority of our students fall down in the teens in terms of the percentage that met or exceeded standards, and it goes the same thing with socioeconomically disadvantaged, English learner, students with disabilities, and so on and so forth. Now, what I'd like you guys to look at next is these two charts here. These are trend lines, and this is the trend over the past 8 years. I believe it's 8, yeah. So this is since 2014-15 through now. These are our average scores, and you'll see it'll give you the once again, if you look at the bar graph, it'll give you the different colors for standard not met, met, near the met, all that. If you'll see that we have definitely dropped since COVID. And you see 2021 is the COVID year, so you see the big dip there. We see coming out of COVID, we are still have not recovered from that. And you'll see in ELA, we see that we had as we talked about earlier, we saw a change. But we saw that this year in mathematics, we saw that we had a bit of an improvement. One of the things I do want to note is that if you look at our scores in comparison to prior years, we're actually on par with where we were about 7 or 8 years ago. That's not something to crow about, but that is one of those things I talk about. Context matters, and so many times you'll hear individuals say that, well, things were better back when. Yeah, we are right about back when. Right now, we need to be better, but we are coming out of the pandemic, and we are dealing with helping our students deal with a lot of things, and our teachers and our different groups are working through that. Lori, you had a question. No, in 19 exactly in 19 thank you in 1920 there was no test administered because we were all sheltering in place. Thank you. Now, we talk about context. As I said, context matters. When you look at our district, there's a saying when you look at statistics that you can, especially when you look at state test scores, if you show me a zip code or you show me the socioeconomic status percentage, you can basically predict what the test scores are going to be. And so it's important to look at like for like. We wouldn't compare ourselves to Palo Alto, nor would Palo Alto want to compare themselves to us. But when we take a look and we say, okay, this chart here takes our district and says, all right, when we look at districts across the state that have the same demographics, over 70% students who participate in the free reduced lunch program, socioeconomically disadvantaged. They have over 25% English learners. There's 30 districts and over 10,000 students. There are 30 districts district-wide that have that same demographic makeup. Out of those 30 districts, we rank about number 18. So we're right about in the middle. And if you look down there, I couldn't fit the whole chart because it would have been really small and my glasses don't work that well. So if you look at the whole chart, if you look up, you can barely see because I wanted to really highlight Los Banos. But if you look at the top there, if you go to the top 10, the top 10 right there, to get into breaking the top 10 districts in our demographics is about 3%. There's a 3% met or exceed difference. You have to start somewhere. Our goal right now is we want to get into the top 10, where for districts our size and our demographics. After that, we want to get the top 5. After that, we want to be number 1. But once we're number 1, now we want to start ranking versus districts that don't have our demographics, and we want to outperform our demographics. We have to start somewhere. And so, as I said, context matters. We have fantastic teachers. We have fantastic students. We have a fantastic group of community. However, we can do better, and we need to do better. If you look at mathematics, it's much the same. Even though the met and exceed percentage is much less, and that does give cause for alarm across the state and across the nation. If you'll see the nation's report card, the NAEP, mathematics is always a struggle, and so we're no different than the rest of the nation. The same thing, demographics still. If you look at this, we're 19th out of 30 districts, and if you go from us to, if you look at the 10th place district on here, we are right again. Once again, it's about 3 percentage points. Met exceed standard. If we have 3%, if we raise the percentage of students who are reaching met or exceeded standard on the CAS, we'd be a top 10 district in our demographic level in California. And so it's important when we set goals, we set reasonable goals, we set goals that are like I said, are achievable. And then once you achieve those goals, you don't rest on them, you move forward. And that's our goal, and that's what we want to do. Now, if you look at our schools, you'll see that here's I'm just going to blow through this one real quick because I know that we have some time to get through, and no one wants to sit and look at data like I do. So this is a list that you can look at later, but it has the list of our schools in terms of the percent that met or exceeded standard through our different schools that took the CASP in ELA and in math. But there's some shout outs I'd like to note. These schools were ranked top 10 in Merced County for their level. So in each grade level. So you see there that we have the grade level, you have the Merced County rate, and then you have the school name next to it. So in ELA, 4th grade, Westside Union was had the 7th highest met and exceeded standard level and or CASP scores in Merced County. Charleston was 7th in math in 4th grade, and also Charleston was in 9th in ELA in 4th grade. In 5th grade, Westside was 5th in the county in ELA, and then in 6th grade, Westside was 2nd in both ELA and in math. Pacheco High School was the 2nd highest high school in both ELA and mathematics in the county. And also, one thing I did not know here, but Pacheco had tremendous growth in mathematics from last year, and you can feel free to go talk to their math department about some of the amazing things that they've done over the past year. It's pretty incredible how they've used flex time and how they've used their PLC process to really work together and to identify students and use their flex time to really support those students. It's been really impressive. Los Banos High School, it was 7th in ELA and 6th in mathematics. And then this chart here shows the schools that met or exceeded the Merced County average. So if you take the average that schools scored in Merced County, these are the schools by grade level that met or exceeded that average. And then these are the schools that met or exceeded the state average. All right. And now the last thing I just want to touch on, this isn't, did I do math first? Oh, I did. This is not CAS, but I do want to just note what this is. These are our fall NWA MAP scores. We do a benchmark assessment 3 times a year. And we do this because we want to see where our kids are at and where they're performing at. And another reason for this assessment is because this is a predictive assessment. It's the second, depends on which service you use, second or first most closely aligned assessment that predicts how well your students are going to do on the CASP. So by taking these assessments, we can predict more or less where our scores are going to be. Last year, we actually came out about 2 percentage points higher than was predicted, which was within a standard deviation. One of the things I'd like you to note is if you look down there, the parts I have highlighted, there's a lot of numbers there, just ignore all of them because no one wants to hear the explanation. But if you look down at the part that's highlighted, all you need to know is what that is. It's called the school conditional growth percentile. What that says is that after the students have taken these assessments, it's measuring how much they grew over the last year. So they took the assessment last year in fall, and then they took it again this fall. And it's saying, based on the norms of all the students who took this nationwide, which are hundreds of thousands of students, it's saying, what's the percentile which our students rank in their growth? How much did their growth compare to all these other students who took it nationwide? This is where we have a lot of hope. The areas in yellow are where our students grew over 50 or over 50% growth. The areas in red, those are the ones where are under 50%. In elementary, in mathematics, we had students who their growth percentile was in third grade, 73rd percentile, 72nd percentile in fourth grade, 74th percentile in fifth grade, 53rd percentile in sixth grade. You get in the high school, 91st percentile in ninth grade, 97th percentile in 10th grade, 99th percentile in 11th grade, 92nd percentile in 12th grade. What that tells us is that, one, this is off the charts. You don't see, especially at the high school, you don't see 90%, the 90th percentile in growth. And when we talk about growth, we're not talking about achievement. We are who we are. Our achievement is low compared to where we want it to be. But what we're measuring here is what is the effect of our instruction? What's the effect of what our teachers are doing day in, day out? And what we see here is it is having a tremendous effect, because this is a norm reference assessment that's compared to students across the nation. This is not just a local assessment. This assessment says that we compare our student to a student who took this assessment in New York, took this assessment in Florida, took this assessment in Switzerland, doesn't matter where. Any student that took this assessment, when we compare it, our student would be in the 99th percentile in the 11th grade in their growth compared to those students. Our students are making tremendous gains, and we are going to see the results of this soon. In the next year or two, we're going to start to see some massive gains, because what we're seeing, what's showing up in our assessment data is that our students are making growth because of the work that our teachers are doing. If you go to look at reading, it's the same thing. It's not quite as high, I'll tell you this, and it's not quite as high in mathematics in the secondary, but if you look in the elementaries, that one that's in red hurt me because in third grade it's 49th percentile. It's basically right there at 50th percentile. But you have 78th percentile, 95th percentile in fourth grade, 83rd percentile, 56th percentile. You see just tremendous, tremendous growth that's happening among our students. And once again, that's happening because of the effort that our teachers are doing, the work they're putting in with talking, working together in their PLCs, and creating plans to support their students. We're not where we want to be, but we're on the road. And I'll tell you the same thing I tell my children. One of the important things to remember is when you get results, and I'm not going to say that these results are what we want, but I'm also not going to say that I'm ashamed of them, because our students are fantastic, and we're moving. We're going toward where we want to go. And this is what I tell my children when they come home with a test score they don't like. I said, did you do your best? Yes. Are you happy with what you got? No. Do you feel like you kind of fell? Yeah. Did you fall forward? Yes. Well, then is your head closer to your destination than it was before? Yes. Then you did right. We may have fallen down, but as long as our head's closer to where we want to go, we've moved forward. And it doesn't matter how many times we fall, as long as we're still making progress, we're making progress. And that's what I can tell you today, is that we've made progress. And so kudos to our staff, and kudos to our administrators at our sites, because the work that they're doing is fantastic, and we are going to reap some amazing benefits. And that's why I wanted to close on this, because we have the data showing us, and the next, I won't promise this year, but I can tell you, in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see some tremendous growth, and it's going to be because of the work that our teachers are doing. Thank you. Oh, questions? I don't want to answer questions now, Lori. You had your chance. I'm kidding. I'm so sorry. Pardon me, Lori. Yes.
Hey. Get your mic on. There you go.
Okay, well, how often do you do the map testing in a year?
We do the map testing 3 times a year.
I thought it was 3. Okay.
And we're actually coming after Thanksgiving break. We'll be doing the winter assessment. And when that is done, in January, we'll be looking at the growth from fall to winter, and that our teacher teams will be looking at that data in their PLCs in January and setting goals for students and helping students set goals for themselves of how they want to, the things they want to work on, identifying areas that they need to improve on.
Okay. I probably have other questions, but I'll just probably ask you later.
As you can tell, I'm a data geek. I love talking about this. We can spend hours.
I'm looking at the difference in the RIT scores from one year to the next, and there might be just a point difference. And I'm just wondering, percentage-wise, when you talk about the school conditional growth percentage, that 1 point, how much does that boost the percentage of the children?
It actually is a lot.
Okay.
Because it's a scale. The scale. It's a longer explanation than we probably have time for right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
but
I can talk
just
to you
in
later
broad
about it.
strokes, a RIT score is basically measuring what a student's where students' learning is, where their learning is at this point. And you can, as you get older, the percentage that you move drops. So you'll see big jumps early in early grades, and you see smaller jumps as they get older. But for example, in the high school, the growth score may be. The expected growth may only be 2 points in 11th through 12th grade, but in elementary school, it might be 8 points.
Okay. That helps.
Any other questions? Thank you. But don't go away. You're next. So on to item D, student attendance report.
Oh, no, that's actually Mr. Mendez.
Oh. It had your name on it, but.
Good evening, Board Trustees, Dr. Marshall, Executive Cabinet, and team members, and community members. Attendance data for last school year is what we're going to talk about. Obviously, some of the information that Dr. Rishi was going over was impacted by attendance, right? And I'm going to piggyback on what he said. If we put it in context, and we'll go over some information right now. The fact that our students are achieving as well as they are post-pandemic is remarkable because we went up significantly with students that have missed over 18 days, so that are chronically absent, right? So, and we're still maintaining some learning. So, a very brief overview, attendance overview. So there's two types of metrics that we use, and in particular for this presentation. There's average daily attendance, and that's just how many students show up each day on average, right? And the goal used to be 95%, but the pandemic really impacted that percentage. And then there's chronic absenteeism, and that is when a student misses 10% of the school year, whether the absences are excused or not. Some examples of some absences that are excused per California Education Code: illness, medical appointments, court appearances, funerals, religious retreats, spending time with active service members. So now there is a law that allows students that have an immediate family member that is a service member in our Army, etc., to be able to take excused time off to either visit that family member or when that family member is visiting. So some of the data, and here we're comparing pre-pandemic information with post-pandemic information. And just to put some more information in context, so before the pandemic, we were averaging about 14% chronic absenteeism. So about 14% of our kids were missing more than 18 days of school, whether excused or not, right? And that put us around 1,614 students pre-pandemic, right? And the average days that students missed before the pandemic was about 9. Post-pandemic, and this is some of the unintended consequences of some of the policies and some of the moves that we had to do during the pandemic, that rose to 45% with regards to chronic absenteeism. So we went from 1,614 students to over 5,000 students missing 18 days or more of the school year. So that's going to impact learning, right? That's pretty, that's a pretty easy assumption. Right? Our average daily attendance dropped to post-pandemic to 88.5%, and our average days absent rose to 19.2%. We showed some significant growth in dropping those numbers this past school year, and that should be noted with all the hard work that all of our team members do. We are now up to 91.4% last school year in average daily attendance. Right now, and we're only about 60 days into the school year, so it's not really comparable, but it gives us an idea. Right now, we are at about 94% ADA as of last week. Right? With regards to chronic absenteeism, we went from the 21-22 school year of about 3,600 students missing 18 days or more. We dramatically dropped that this past school year to about 3,400. Still too many students missing school, right? But significant growth with regards to bringing down the students that miss that amount of days. Currently, and please note that we're just about 60 days into the school year. Currently, we're at about 20% chronic absenteeism. That's about 5 days or so that students have missed. We have to brace for the winter time where illnesses increase, right? But our trend is looking favorable to reach pre-pandemic numbers within the next 2 years. So, as you see, the average daily days absent also dropped from 2 years ago to 14.4, and as of last week, our students were missing an average of 3 days. 3 days. So what are we doing to improve attendance? We've done some work with alignment of our current practices, and we're refining some practices and improving some practices that are in place. I am collaborating with both classified and administrative team members at least 2 times a month and going over how we improve our practices with regards to attendance. We've provided some professional learning and training, and we're going to continue doing so. We're focusing on contacting parents more. Right? That's our focus, is increasing the contact with parents more. And we're also working on, and the team members that I alluded to, we're working on creating a comprehensive plan to improve attendance messaging. Because as we know, during the pandemic, we told people in general, including students, don't come to school, right? Don't come to work, right? And then we transitioned to, hey, if you come to school and to work unless you have some sort of ailment, and then stay home, right? So we have to reset from that mentality, and it's going to take some work and some time. Right? Here's an example of some of the work that we've done to align our practices and refine our practices. This was in collaboration with both classified team members and administrators. We set our process. We've refined it somewhat. We've improved some of our communication forms, and now we're implementing some of this change. So, with that, that's the presentation. Do the trustees have any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Interesting. All right. On to item E, resolution for continued funding application for our preschool. Welcome, Ms. Rocha.
Good evening, board members. I'm Jennifer Rocha. I'm the program director for the preschool. And so every year we have to do basically a continued funding application that says we agree to continue our preschool program and hold our contract with the state. So that is why I'm here, unless anybody has any questions about the contract or the preschool.
Questions? All right, seeing none, any motion, please? Got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Lieb, to adopt Resolution 36-23, continued funding application for Los Banos Unified School District preschool. Tina, please.
Ms. Gattuso? Yes. Mr. Lieb? Yes. Ms. Moran? Yes. Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Yes. Ms. Valadao? Mr. Pura?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. It passes. And thank you, Ms. Rocha. All right, on to item F, authorized signatures. Dr. Lee.
Evening, Board. It's recommended the Board approve Dr. David Holden, Eric Sarsby, Cypher Lee, and Melanie Marcella to be authorized signers for district revolving funds, clearing accounts, and children's welfare.
All right, any questions? If not, I need a motion, please. Got a motion by Member Cattuso, seconded by Member Valadao to approve the authorized signatures on our accounts. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it passes unanimously. On to item G, memorandum of understanding for one-time signing bonus for speech and language pathologist. Dr. Calzadias.
It's recommended that the board approve the memorandum of understanding between the California School Employees Association and its Los Banos chapter number 92 for a one-time signing bonus for qualified speech and language pathology assistants and a one-time referral bonus for SLPAs who refer a qualified SLPA to the district. As you know, these positions are increasingly hard to fill, and we're doing everything we can to fill these positions and get the needed support to our students.
Any questions? Lori?
On the MOU, does it have an end date or is it yearly? I mean, I'm not positive.
MOUs are meant to be temporary in nature until the
Right.
problem is resolved.
And then we just get
Positions are filled and we no longer have a shortage. I can bring this back to you to be revisited next year if you'd like on an annual basis and examine the need.
I'm wondering, I figured that it was when the need is met, that then it's
You're
solved.
correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Need a motion, please. Got a motion by Member Valadao, seconded by Member Moran, to approve the MOU with the Classified Association for the one-time signing bonus for speech and language pathologist assistants. All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried unanimously. On
Thank
to
you.
item H, Human Resources Credential Analyst Job Description and Salary Schedule. Dr. Calzadias.
As you're aware, this is a replacement position. Actually, it's not an addition. And so it's recommended that the board approve the Human Resources Credential Analyst job description and placement on the classified salary schedule at range 33.
Questions? Seeing none, motion, please. Motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Munoz to approve the Human Resources Credential Analyst job description and salary schedule. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
You bet. On to item I, proposed facilities projects. Dr. Marshall.
Okay, I'm back. Like I talked about earlier, I want to talk about a lot of our work that we've been doing. And if you look, I want to first, I'm going to go back. When you talk about like your buildings and your facilities, there are three things. There's construction, modernization efforts, and then routine maintenance and repair. Now, this slide just basically shows you, a lot of times we don't look at this, but every year, and I'm sure we underestimate the numbers are probably lower than what it actually is, but it gives you just a snapshot. That's how much we spend each year to keep our buildings up. I mean, you look at simple things, I'm not going to read them all, but like pool upkeep, parking lot repair, security cameras, grounds. You know, every year we spend these funds. So a lot of times we get questions like, how do we fund our buildings? Well, there are several sources. One thing that we've been doing, we get our school construction refunds. And basically, that was a program years ago that when Governor Brown was in office, that started. And as far as the construction, what would happen when we do projects, and then you would get funding back for those refunds. The program was slow for a few years. Then when Newsom came in, he staffed the office, so we were able to get more. You saw money starting to come in. So that's where we get a lot of our money. Developer fees. At one point, we were really growing. I mean, we have a lot of building, but as far as, students, and I'm going to talk about that later, that's kind of slack. But if you look at our fees, I mean, that's one source. Measure X bond proceeds, routine maintenance and restricted routine maintenance fund. When you're in the state construction fund process, you have to put money aside for your buildings. They're not going to give you money back if you're not going to keep your buildings up. It's just, they go hand in hand. We're in the community facilities district, and then we go for grants, like I talked about earlier. TK, we're going to be getting a grant from the state, a very competitive process. But to be in that program, you have to have your money up front to put in as well. In other words, we'll give you $7 million, but you have to show us your $2 million that you can participate. They're not going to just give you money and you don't have money to put your part in. So I want to just emphasize that. Let's take a look back in time. Now, in 2017, we were kind of interesting dynamic. We were growing at a rate of about 300 students a year. So just imagine every year you get 300 more kids. In terms of, from a financial standpoint, that's an extra $3 million a year that we were getting. Now, obviously, our buildings, we didn't have the room to accommodate the growth. And at that time, we needed an elementary school and didn't have the resources to build it. Now, this is I like to do this. This is going back in time. This is actually in Cypher's office. This is from the prior admin. And you can see, if you can't see it on the screen, but basically, they had a process of doing our enrollment for every year. And they were pretty on target. And you can see where every year you go, it was like 300 kids more a year. After about 2017, you saw it start to be flat. And it's still, right now, we've grown a little bit, but our enrollment could be best construed as flat. It's not, we're not busting at the seams like we were before. Now, at the time, like I talked about, this is in my office. Basically, there was this growth, but we didn't have the resources or a plan as far as what do we do with the students. So you can see there were some things that were in place. New junior high, Mercy Springs expansion, San Luis. They were talking about a Pacheco High School science wing, Lofton Stadium, Lofton Field, and new elementary school. Some of the things, if they didn't get the resources, they were talking about converting our junior highs to 6-state middle schools. Also going to a year-round school year, and then adjusting boundaries and then expanding Mercy Springs. And as I talked about, we needed at least 2 elementary schools at the time. And I think I talked about that, expanding. So what we did, because we didn't have the resources for a new school at the time, we did have some funds. We developed an interim facilities plan, and it had several components. Those of you, if you have a memory, the Green Valley Charter School, once that building was vacant, it was converted into the TK Center. But that's how that came to be, and that was all done in-house. We added 6 classrooms to Volta, 4 classrooms Pacheco High School, and we relocated classrooms. We moved Crossroads to another vacant suite. Now, the moves that I talked about previously, it created space for about 500 to 700 students. That was temporary. That was a temporary move. And at that time, based on the amount of money that we had, it was the least disruptive and most cost-effective option. All right? I want to go back a couple of slides. I want to say one thing that I didn't highlight. If you notice there's an asterisk on certain monies, basically what they're saying is those fees have to be used for any, if you're going to do stuff for student growth, you can use it for that. You cannot use that money for routine stuff. You're supposed to be doing your own, taking care of your own buildings. So you can't use that money to do stuff that, as a district, you should be doing. So I didn't highlight that. So let's move forward. So, like I talked about, that was the interim plan. In 2018, we passed Measure X, and that was a local ballot measure. It was a special election on June 5th, 2018, and it was passed by 71% of our voters. That makes it the most successful bond measure to date in Los Banos. And that was an 80 million, I'm right, 60 or 80? 60, okay. $60 million bond measure because we get the proceeds at different points. All right. Let's look at some of the things that we've done since we got the money because we have to be good stewards of our taxpayer money. Obviously, the most pressing need was Grasslands Elementary School. And interestingly, if you looked at the slide that I did previously, we thought it would cost $28 million, but it's a little bit more expensive. Lofton Stadium Phase 1 that came at $8 million. The HME FOT parking lot about $1 million. Pacheco Science Wing, that was done. A lot of times you have unforeseen expenses like the $2 million for the Los Spanish fire alarm. I should have added that we had new alarm systems at Los Spanish Elementary, West Side, I think in Henry Miller. And that's about $1 million a pop for each one. And you have to fix that because they will close you down if that safety need is not met. So you see the grand total there. Where does the money come? How do we get input for the projects? We have a facilities plan that we did. There's several of you on the facilities subcommittee, site requests, and our principals are very good about advocating for their schools. So they do a good job letting us know when we need things. Then there are the competitive grants. And again, like I said, there are specs. When you go in these grant processes, they're very strict in terms of, okay, you can apply for this $10 million, but you better be able to show us you have three of your money to put in. And that, like that example I just gave. Then for Measure X, there's an oversight committee. So moving forward, we have to address the safety issues, like the playgrounds, fire alarms, equipment failures. You have to address that. That's going to be addressed. Our goal is for every school to receive something. And so if you look at our list, all the schools have gotten something. And then we're committed to making sure their funding streams to address our aging facilities. We are trying to identify resources to address our building needs. So here's some things we have underway. I mean, Sherry covered a lot of it tonight, but we have TK centers underway, and you have estimates with those things. Lofton Stadium Phase 2, Charleston, Henry Miller, LFE all get new playgrounds. There's going to be Pacheco High School, the track will be renovated. Mercy Springs to get in the shade structure. There's a roofing project at Los Spanish High School we talked about. Volta modernization, that's in progress. Los Spanish High School is getting modernized. FOT parking lot. Los Spanish Elementary has a parking lot. And then we're trying to get land acquisition for a new elementary school. So you see we have a very aggressive list as far as facility projects. I mean, we've been, as far as our, spending our monies properly, you can see that we are taking the monies that we're receiving and trying to address our facility needs. Now, what I'm going to show you, this is the list of future projects that we've identified that's up for approval tonight. And they're not, I want to say, basically, the projects are contingent upon funding as the cash flow permits. You have to have the cash to do these projects, because to be able to pay for them. They're not in any kind of order. And it doesn't. And one thing I want to point out is that this list does not include the unforeseen projects. In other words, like if we had a school tomorrow if the intercom system went down, the fire alarm system was inoperable, we have to replace those. But what we have, they're not in order. Bathrooms for at Miano, a grassland shade structure, finish the roofing at Los Spanish Junior High, San Luis, a multi-purpose room, Lofton Stadium Phase 3, Grassland. If we can't build, and this is the one that if we can't, hopefully the goal is to be able to build a new elementary school in that area. But if we can't in a certain amount of time, we have to look at adding rooms there. Land purchase for another elementary school. Creekside, there's a wing, there's a space there for an additional wing. And then, like I talked about, be in a position to build 2 new elementary schools. That will accommodate our growth district-wide. So if these projects are done, this would take care of us for a few years, given our current growth rate and population. I'd say this will cover us for like the next, I'd say 10 to 15 years. So I'm asking for, just in concept, to approve these projects. Any questions?
Questions? It's over. we're approving the list,
Right.
but
Just like that this is the work that we will try to,
but
as
these
funds.
projects won't happen until we have the money. to
Correct.
make
That's
them
what,
happen,
I specified that, right.
which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's a wish list, yeah.
Right.
The wish list. All right. Any questions, comments, motion? Got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Smith, to approve the list of proposed facility projects. All those in favor? All right. Opposed? And it's carried unanimously. On item J, bid award for Los Banos High School H&J wing re-roofing.
Good evening again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It is recommended that the board accept the bid submitted by Nations Roof for re-roofing on the H&J classroom wings at Los Banos High School and approve a notice of award and authorize the superintendent or designee to sign contract documents and issue the notice to proceed.
Questions? Motion? We got a motion by Member Valadeo, seconded by Member Munoz, to accept the bid for the Los Banos High School H&J wing re-roofing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is passed unanimously. On to item K, notice of completion of Lofton Stadium Phase 1.
It is recommended that the board accept as complete the Lofton Stadium new concessions, restrooms, and athletic team buildings and authorize the filing of the notice of completion.
Comments, questions? Motion? Got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Moran, to accept the notice of completion of Lofton Stadium Phase 1. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it is carried. On to item L, Benchmark Engineering Change Order 1 for the FOT parking lot.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve change order number 1 with Benchmark Civil Engineering and Land Surveying Incorporated for additional engineering services for the FOT parking lot.
Questions? Comments? Motion? Got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Munoz, to approve the Benchmark Engineering Change Order number 1 for the FOT parking lot. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's also carried unanimously. On to item M, Reliable Fire and Security Incorporated Change Order number 1 for the Los Banos High School fire alarm.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve contract change order number 1 with Reliable Fire and Security Incorporated for the construction of the Los Banos High School fire alarm replacement project. This was for time only. There is no dollar amount associated with this change order.
Questions? Comments? Motion? Got a motion by Member Leap, seconded by Member Gattuso, to approve the Reliable Fire and Security Incorporated Change Order number 1 for the Los Banos High School fire alarm. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. On to item N, authorization to seek bids for the Los Banos High School modernization project.
It is recommended that the board approve authorization to seek competitive bids for the Los Banos High School modernization modular administration building.
Comments, questions? Ms. Valadeo.
I'm looking at the picture. I mean, I'm so excited to see this happen, for one, because that school really needs it. Is this like right where the parking lot comes
So
in,
we
where
will,
the gate is right now?
Yes, so it's going to be secure point of entry. So basically you come up to that building. Obviously before and after school they'll have gates open. But similar to Pacheco where you have to enter through the office after those entry points to get onto campus.
That's what it looked like. It looks beautiful.
It's going to be very nice, and they deserve to have some work done there.
All right, Mr. Leib.
The artist renderings that was in our packet was showing the different sides, right?
The elevations,
so from the back
yes.
side
Mhm.
from the student's perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I love it. It kind of it mirrors Lofton Stadium motif. So yeah.
And then I liked how the curved roof kind of matches the Tiger Gym, so it kind of it fits onto the campus nicely aesthetically. So it doesn't look like, oh, what's that brand new building sitting there?
How will it affect the current state of traffic, people coming in and out of that curved
The parking lot,
yeah.
the parking lot is not going to have any adjustment. So it's just where the gate, they're going to have to take down that fencing, adjust that, and then put the building there and put the gates up
It's
to the
all
building.
on the concrete area.
It's all in the
behind.
concrete.
Okay, sorry.
It's kind of in front of where that existing administration building is towards the parking lot.
All right, any other questions or comments? Motion? All right, we got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Valadeo to approve the authorization to seek bids for the Los Banos High School Modernization Modular Administration Building. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. On to item O, board policy changes, updates, updates, and we're in for first reading, and this is all from the Student Health Services.
That's
Welcome,
right.
Mr. Nguyen.
Hello. Good evening, board members.
And I do have to make one comment, and that is this is the item that has the incorrect number. It should be AR 5141.31.
That is correct. I apologize about that. That's all.
Not a problem.
It is recommended that the board declare its intent to adopt the following board policies and administrative regulations in order to comply with current practices. You want me to go ahead and read through that list?
Please.
Okay. BP 5141.6, School Health Services, 514121, Administering Medications and Monitoring Health Conditions, 514131, Immunizations, and Administrative Regulations 5141.6, School Health Services, 5141.21, Administering Medications and Monitoring Health Conditions, 5141.31, Immunizations, and 5141.32, Health Screening for School Entry.
Any questions? Need a motion? Got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Gattuso, to declare our intent to adopt the board policy changes and updates first readings for student health services, board policies and administrative regulations. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried. Thank you very much. On item P, board policy changes and updates first reading from Ed Services. Good evening again, Dr. Ritchie.
Good evening. Before I start, I'd like to pull Board Policy 6162.5. I made a mistake when I put that in. I put an earlier draft in the board packet, and thankful to Lori for catching that. So the correct one will be on the board docket for next month. Well, thank you for catching it. So it is recommended the board declares intent to adopt the following mandated updates. Board Policy 0410, Non-Discrimination in District Programs and Activities. Board Policy 1312.3, Uniform Complaint Procedures. Board Policy 6146.4, Differential Graduation and Competency Standards for Students with Disabilities. Administrative Regulations 6162.5, Student Assessment. And Board Policy 6174, Education for English Learners.
Comments or questions? Motion? Got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Moran, to declare our intent to adopt board policy changes, updates, first readings from Ed Services. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Ritchie. Dr. Marshall, on to item Q, board policy changes, updates, first reading.
Okay. I'd like for the board to recommend the board declare its intent to adopt the following mandated policies. Board Policy 7310, name of facility. Administrative Regulation 7310, name of facility.
All right. questions or comments? Motion, please. Got a motion by Member Lieb, seconded by Member Gattuso, to declare our intent to adopt board policy changes, updates, and first readings for naming of facilities. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried. Those are all our first readings, so they'll come back to us in December for final adoption. All right, on to item R, our annual organizational meeting. Dr. Marshall.
It's recommended that the board approve Thursday, December 15th, 2023, 7 p.m. at Los Banos City Hall as the time and place of our annual organizational meeting.
Ms. Gattuso.
It's actually December 14th.
Oh, December 14th.
It is. It's December 14th.
Okay, modification December 14th.
December 14th, okay. It's Thursday, December 14th, not 15th.
Same place.
All right. Everything else is the same except for the date. All right. Thanks for catching that. It's correct on the BRM, but it's not on the agenda per se. So the BRM has the correct date. Comments, questions? Motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Gattuso, to approve the annual organization meeting to be held on Thursday, December 14th, 2023. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you. On to the consent calendar. Are there any pulls? Seeing none, I need a motion. Got a motion by Member Lieb, seconded by Member Valadeo, to approve the consent calendar as listed. Roll call vote, please. Tina?
Mrs. Gattuso? Mr. Lieb? Ms. Moran? Mr. Munoz? Ms. Smith? Ms. Valadeo? Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's approved unanimously. Item 12, reporting out of closed session. Get my list here. Expulsion case numbers 5510562 and 5513116 and 5532160 are expelled for the remainder of the school year. Students are to contact the Student Services Department for readmission following the period of expulsion for a review of attendance, credits, and/or grades, behaviors, and recommended counseling. All students are referred to Valley Community School. The vote was 6 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Going on to item 2, parental request for early graduation for a Crossroads student. That action passed. 7 yeses, no noes, no absences. Item 3, parental request for early graduation for a Pacheco High School student. That item also passed. 7 yeses, no noes, no absences. And that is all for the report of closed session. Next item is discussion, information, and future agenda items. Anybody have anything? Seeing none. Next item is closed session, which we finished everything in closed session we needed to do, so we're not going to report out. And before I adjourn the meeting, I want to wish everybody a happy 3-day weekend and a happy Veterans Day. And you can say Happy Veterans Day. So that is something that is actually official to say. So if you see a veteran, say Happy Veterans Day. It is proper to say Happy Veterans Day. So make sure you do that. We won't see you before Thanksgiving. So everybody have a great Thanksgiving and good night, everyone.